Podcast Network Asia.
First Metrosec is providing this podcast as a general market commentary. Reference to any specific security, product, or entity do not constitute as an offer or a solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any financial instruments or to participate in any particular trading strategy. The statements, comments, views, or opinions expressed by the hosts are subject to change without notice, and First Metrosec is under no obligation to update, amend, change, or correct any of the statements, comments, views, or opinions expressed. The statements, comments, views, and opinions expressed by the guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the view of First Metrosec. First Metrosec disclaims any liability arising from reliance on or reference to any information obtained in this podcast.
You are listening to First Metro Securities Philippine Stock Market Weekly Podcast, where we feature timely and relevant discussions on the Philippine stock market and the economy in the hope of providing you investing and trading guidance. Here's your host, Royce Aguilar, from the Research Department at First Metro Sec.
All right. So good afternoon. Welcome to another Philippine stock market wrap-up. I'm Royce Aguilar, Department Head for Retail Research of First Metro Securities. Thank you for those attending live and for those who are listening right now via Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Okay, so today we will discuss what happened in the month of May. Diba? Ano ba nangyari in the month of May? What to watch out for in June? Stock picks. Actually, for this one, instead of stock picks, we will share with you mga updated costs namin on select stocks. Okay, so let's discuss what happened in the month of May. So this is updated as of close earlier. So the PSA ended lower by 2.2%. So close at 6,477.36. And year to date, the PSA is down by 1.4%. Okay. So what supported the market? Because there were times, especially the early part of the month, na the market rebounded and the market went up. So there was this less hawkish US central bank, meaning they were signaling that there's a pause in the horizon, not necessarily cuts, but pause in rate hikes, which is of course good for equities. Then si BSP, yung local central bank, pause sa interest rate hikes, right? So of course, when the central bank signals na magka-cut ng rates, that's the beginning of a rally sa stock market or equities. Okay, so right now, it seems like gradually we're leaning towards that, but we're still down. Month of May, bakit? Downweight in recent MSCI rebalancing. That's why we saw in over 20 billion pesos in traded value earlier. And then of course there was this prolonged discussions in the US debt ceiling. Of course, right now we're seeing progress, and perhaps today, May 31, US time, there could be a deal or it could be signed already. Nevertheless, that really dragged down the global markets for quite some time. Of course, not that significant, but nevertheless, the sentiment was not positive. Diba? So in terms of the chart, we closed at 6,477. If we look closely, like may higher low na form, right? Higher low. And right now, lower low. So parang this is not a good sign. We're hoping, and we've been consistent naman in saying that the market should trade above 6,800, right? For you to buy, at least on a technical analysis perspective. Okay? And it seems like so far we're right kasi it hasn't break above 6,800 and no bullish price action so far. Of course, perhaps in the next couple of days there could be a rebound post MSA rebalancing. Keep in mind, MSA rebalancing, it's every Feb, May, August, and November. And usually the effectivity date is the end of the month. And that's where we see volume. Okay, so that answers the question. But parang ang gulo, parang ang strange ng volume every end of Feb, May, August, November. It's because of the MSA rebalancing. And due to the recent inclusion in China, not recent, it was included like I think a couple of years ago. Pero since China is such a big country, the gradual inclusion of China into the MSCI drags down the other region. Okay. Going back to price action, we failed to break above the 100-day MA, which according to this chart is the green line, right? So the PSA pulled back and it's now hovering below the 200-day MA, which is around 6,544. So if you ask us, at least the market must break above the 200-day MA first to prevent bears from further taking over. As mentioned, dapat at least mag-break above the 100-day MA. But to be clear, yung plan is once mag-break above 6,800, I think that's the optimal price where the market could rally from here. But right now, it might even retest 6,400 for 400. Okay, right now it's 6,477. So yeah. I would like to share with you guys na parang nauuso yung mga delisting tapos via tender offer, right? So we're hoping to shed some light. Ano ba yung mga options? What are the options? Or some advantage, disadvantage in availing ng tender offer? So we have 3 options here. Okay. Number 1, subscribe to the tender offer. The advantage ensures liquidity and potential gain if the stock was bought at a lower price than the tender offer price. Okay. Disadvantage. Shareholders may lose money if the stock was bought at a higher price than the tender offer price, especially if a stock listed at, let's say, 10 pesos, and then for most of its life as a stock, as a listed name, nag-trade siya at around 5, 4 pesos. Usually kasi guys, yung tender offer price, it's based from 6 months or 12 months VWAP. VWAP is volume weighted average price. Right? So for example, that there's a stock trades within 6 to 7 pesos for 1 year. Expect na yung tender offer price around that level lang. Gets? So it's a disadvantage if you bought at IPO, hinawakan mo, tapos tender offer price shot within 6 to 7 pesos. It's not, that's a disadvantage. So that's the first option when you subscribe to the tender offer. Second option, you sell the stock on the stock exchange prior to effectivity, date of delisting. Advantage, may liquidity. The assumption here is may liquidity pag listed pa siya, right? Potentially higher profits or less losses if the stockholder can sell it at a price higher than the tender offer price. That's the advantage. Okay? But disadvantage, if the tender offer fails and the tender offer price is revised upwards, the investor fails to benefit from the higher revised tender offer price. Diba? Yun yung mga scenarios. So we discussed already 2 options. Okay, third options, you held to the stock after delisting. The advantage mo is, okay, shareholder ka pa rin. Number 2, you could still benefit from the dividends paid by the company from the company's future growth if meron, right? But the disadvantage is you cannot easily sell the shares through the PSE kasi hindi na siya listed. And then selling delisted stocks, private shares na siya, takes a long and complex process and typically entails more costs. And number 3, delisted stocks do not have a readily available market. So ito yung mga, guys, yung pros and cons natin when availing tender offer and pag sa tender offer, okay? So I hope you guys, take that into account. So what do we watch out for in the month of June? Inflation data. Will inflation continue to slow down? Keep in mind, guys, that right now we're seeing a lot of data that signals that nag-peak na yung inflation. Perhaps the BSP said that at the latter part of the year, inflation now can go be below 4% because of base effects. What does base effect mean? For example, if yung kunyari inflation last year was, nung latter part of the year was 8%, syempre, since it came from a high inflation growth, the expectation is next December, assuming yung inflation is not that high, yung growth ng inflation is not 8% level. That's what high base effect means. So the bottom line is when inflation continues to slow down the coming months, because that supports the fact na, okay, CBSP can pause from here. We're not even talking about cuts yet. It's mostly pause. Okay? And then progress on the US debt ceiling. Well, we're seeing progress naman on that one. It's just that we hope that doesn't escalate because that could be catastrophic sa economy ng US, no? Ito dito black swan kasi like you could easily stop this, di ba? So we're hoping it would be resolved. And it seems like it's going to be resolved. It's a lose-lose situation naman for both the Democrats and Republicans if di siya ma-push, right? Banking crisis, is there something that will come next? Well, we continue to put this here, not focusing on the banking crisis, but the fact is, usually pag may recession, especially if a recession that is a hard landing, meaning not sabihin aggressive yung meaning heavily felt yung recession, hindi lang siya from isang sector, right? So yung banking has naapektuhan yung banking. Is there something that will come next from another sector perhaps or another country? So let's continue to watch that. The point here is we may not be out of the woods yet. There could be something that could occur. Geopolitics, we continue to put it here kasi 'di ba yung China Taiwan, Ukraine Russia is not slowing down, 'di ba? Recently they attacked si Moscow, 'di ba, yung capital ng Russia. So let's see kasi there are a lot of supply chain bottlenecks that occurred because of these types of events. We're hoping there could be no further events. So US China, if you take a look at their language, seems like not much progress in terms of how it will be resolved. So the point is there's still tension and anything could still happen from here. Economic data. Yun, so inflation, June 6, central bank interest rate decision, June 22. Pause pa rin ba? Diba? Do not expect yet a cut. So perhaps best case scenario, latter part of the year, but likely next year pa. Oil remittances, unemployment rate, and business consumer confidence. For US inflation, June 13, central bank interest rate decision on June 15, jobs report on Friday, June 2nd. For global, tomorrow, manufacturing PMI, and then central bank interest rate decision for Japan on June 16 and Euro area, June 15. Okay, so something to watch here are the central bank interest rate decision, right? For example, sa Philippines, expected their pause. For US, I think baka mag-pause na rin, right? Depending on the inflation that will come out on June 13 and the jobs report data that will come out on June 2nd. Okay? So, data dependent yan eh. Data dependent, which dapat naman talaga. Right? So, yeah. So, updated calls on select stocks, diba? We have been mentioning in the previous months about our stock picks, right? So, let's mention naman stocks na we updated our calls. And you can see that actually in our company report tab, sa research tab, right? And you can see there, ang dami namin updated. Tapos if you want audio naman, nasa podcast rin sila, guys. So at least, diba, maiba naman, hindi lang ako yung sasalita. We also have our other analysts to share their thoughts about these names. But let me share it to you in one go, right? At one presentation. So first, RHI, which is actually one of our topics and the only topics that I will discuss on this presentation. So the target price now is 67, previously 70 yan. So the first reason why we like RHI we discussed previously is RHI can leverage the wallet share shift and the return of mobility. Especially guys, small reopening play siya. Keep in mind si RHI. Yung mga DIY stores, mga pet stores, convenience stores, department stores, right? So especially we're seeing huge growth sa mall segment. There's influx way beyond pandemic levels. And you can see it once you go to the malls, diba? Daming tao talaga. So it benefits RHI. The problem lang, if you ask us why it's dropping, is because its earnings came in below consensus estimates, right? If you take a look at the bottom line, yung net income niya, it was dragged by the interest expense from the BPI acquisition. But we think it's just a short, it's not going to be a long-term effect. The bottom line is RHI's fundamentals remain intact. And as mentioned there, the second point is while higher interest charges will immediately impact RHI's bottom line, we are confident that the counter's strong cash flow generation alongside dividend income from BPI will lessen the pressure on RHI's debt burden sooner rather than later. So again, it's a short-term thing and long-term positive for RHI. So si BPI, as mentioned si BPI, target price namin is 123. Previously, it was 110 or 111. So the bottom line here is it's a good acquisition with strong synergistic potential. So we see merits to the pending merger of the two banks in view of BPI's growing asset deposit and client base, with Robinsons Bank having delivered above industry loans and deposits CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, in the last 5 years. Okay, so we're still positive with BPI, 123. At least 10% upside. So for example, if less than 10% na yung from current share price or target price, you buy on pullbacks. Okay. For BDO, it's hold now for us. Our target price is 150. Just outperformed and has done well after recommendation. But right now, if you're looking for upside for BDO, perhaps if you're holding BDO, we're not saying that you should sell. The thing is, literally hold mo lang siya, but don't add on to it. I have to revise that definition. But the bottom line here is, for BDO, it's a hold call for us. And we're looking at if you want to accumulate, we have a new traders playbook report on BDO na you buy on pullbacks at least 10% upside. Because when we released this report, BDO was trading at around 139, less than 10% upside as compared to the 150. So based on our report, at least you buy once nasa 135 siya, because it's trading within the range, right? 135 and nearly 150. So you buy where the risk reward is favorable at around 135. Next is for Converge. It's a buy call for us, but keep in mind, guys, na we're not need to top pick namin. So it's just we have a buy call, but it's not one of our most recommended. But let me share to you na rin nevertheless. For Converge, the first thesis here is the bottom line kasi. For the bottom line for telco sector outlook kasi is, we think that the mobile segment is competitive. So the margins will be compressed. Mahirap kumita. Kikita, pero mahirap yung growth. Low single digit. For Converge, nasa fixed line business kasi siya. So the thing here is, the recent pullback in share price is because of slowdown subscriber growth. But we think it's close to bottoming out. So yung ARPU is average revenue per user. Diba? Meron dito yan, guys, yung average revenue per user. We think that it will stabilize in the next 6 to 12 months. So at our trimmed down target price of 13.80, Converge now offers on-demanding valuation. So yung point is that is Converge trading at a premium, diba? Kasi growth prospect, etc. But right now, we think na, okay, cheap na siya. So 13.8 is our target price. Okay. Next is Pure Gold, previously a buy, now it's a hold. So we have key assumptions to our earnings revisions. Like, on the second point here, lower margins as inflation remains elevated with the peso still relatively weaker on a year-on-year basis. Keep in mind, bakit factor si peso? Diba si Pure Gold, meron siyang SNR. SNR sa kanila yun. The SNR business imports. If nag-import ka, mahina yung peso, gastos mo, dollar. Cost mo. Dadali mo dito, revenue mo peso. So if peso is weaker on year-on-year basis, the bottom line gets hit. So, there, that's for Pure Gold. So yung mga changes namin. But again, as mentioned, guys, here are top picks. Again, base case target namin for PSI, 6,700. So far, we're there, right? So, the point is, sana hindi kami tama, right? Kasi we're hoping if kumita tayo lahat, if once the market goes up, it's a win-win situation. But again, based on what we see, the base case seems to be doing well so far. Kasi right now, nearly 6.5 yung market, 6.7 yung base case namin. But again, we can't reiterate enough though na yung REITs, guys. Yung REITs kasi once nag-peak na yung interest rates, tapos especially may signs na magkakat na interest rates, the REITs will tend to outperform. Right? Keep in mind that last 2022, REITs underperformed because there was an aggressive rate hike. Diba? Since May 2022, interest rates here in the Philippines was raised by a total of 4.25%. Ang laki nun. Hence, the fixed income is doing well. If you invested in fixed income, you've probably benefited from that. But, for example, papasok pa lang ngayon ng investment or you want to recoup your losses. How do I outperform in the next months? REITs perhaps are your best picks. Okay. Of the three themes, baka series good to focus on. Okay. So, key traders playbook reports. So far, 41% hit ratio year to date. So, we have two reports that we like to highlight. Diba? So, first gen. So, buy on pullbacks yan. This was a report made by our colleague no, si Peter regarding yung first gen and na-hit yung target price niya. But the bottom line is, if you take a look at the chart at here, ang ganda. Breakout level, di ba? Breakout level niya at around 19. Umakyat siya 21.6. Pulled back, but managed to stay above 19. Goes to show that the breakout is strong, legit, di fake for now. So the bottom line here is you accumulate around 19 from 18.80 to 19 pesos. So that's a good levels to buy into. Okay. Next naman si DG Plus. So for DG Plus naman, fresh breakout siya. Well, although overbought levels na siya if you take a look at the price here. No? So what we were recommending to buy at around 3.15, 3.20. But kung ano ka, momentum trader ka, you can be a bit more aggressive. You can buy at around 3.3, mga ganun. But the bottom line here is, the fundamental story kasi is, yung EBITDA niya, yung earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, turn positive. Right? Because si DG Plus is the brand behind Bingo Plus. Arena Plus. Yung Arena Plus na nasa GCash. Bingo Plus, diba? E-Bingo games. So, perhaps may push from retail and I'm seeing a slight foreign buying on that stock. So perhaps something to take advantage of or ride as a growth company. But keep in mind na overbought siya, so perhaps you can buy at a better level. So yeah, again, so we have several medium on how we can promote our thoughts. Diba? May podcast and guys, this month of May, ang dami namin release sa podcast. I think double digit, right? Since April, especially in May. So we have several podcasts na we release and here are just 3 of them. And there are more. So please go to our Spotify, Apple, Google podcast page, right? So we have specific company updates. We invite guests and corporates. And tomorrow, guys, one of our key traders playbook highlights, yung one of the corporates there, we invited them and we will release, actually we just released para the episode. Yeah. Nag-secret pa ako, pero na-release na namin yung episode. So si DG Plus, we invited them. And the Spotify episode on that is already released. So please take a look at that. Bukas na namin siya pa-promote sa social media account. But guys, you can take a look at that already. Listen, we managed to get the president, si Andy Sui. So yeah. So this time I answer your questions. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to perhaps absorb the presentation and feel free to ask. Thank you guys. Okay. So hello guys. We're only seeing a few questions here. I'll give you more time. Baka may questions kayo, right? Okay. So this first question here is, I heard something about the lost decade. But I didn't really understand. Will we be affected? The lost decade kasi is, I think this is brought by due to, what do you call this? Due to the COVID, that we lost a lot sa economy natin, right? So actually, there was this argument by our Ateneo economist, si Dr. Alvin Ang, na we're just on the growth path. Parang yung point is, okay, we're seeing the growth numbers be there, na 6%, etc. But we're still quite far from how we were growing in terms of pace as compared to pre-pandemic. So may mga nawala talaga. May mga nawala talaga sa economy natin. And we have to, I'm not saying accept that lang, but the point is, that's the reality. So it's not a matter of will we be affected, because it's already here. We were already affected. I think the point there is it's mainly due because of what happened in pandemic, na we lost a lot of momentum in terms of economic growth, diba? I mean, very obvious naman yung jobs, and there were a lot of lives lost, right? So it hit us emotionally. Mga iba during the pandemic rin, parang not necessarily pandemics, but kind of a trend in terms of not pushing for kids already. So there's this trend na the economy mo is not at the same pace as it was pre-pandemic, right? So yung growth mo, may kita mo 6%. That's economic growth. But in terms of the pace we were at prior to the pandemic, we're malayo tayo dun. So, kumbaga right now, we just recovered. We might just have recovered what we've lost ng pandemic, but keep in mind na we were supposed to be on a way uh, faster path. So right now, it's just more of recovery. We recovered it, but we're not yet at that path. So I think that's where the lost decade has come from. I first heard that lost decade nung sa Japan. Right? That was, I heard that nung pre-pandemic pa lang. I think it's mostly because of yung pagka-devalue ng yen and very flat lang yung economic growth nila. So, since flat yung economic growth nila for, at least a decade, hence they called it the lost decade because they didn't gain much ground. Right? So, there. This is a good question. What advice can you give to those holding SGP? Keep in mind kasi si SGP, for SGP, yung impact there, it directly owns si NGCP, right? So, yung mga news circulating about NGCP, it's nasa mata siya ng government right now because of allegedly parang not handling the capex well, yung expenditures nila, right? They said that they gave most of it via dividends, right? So it has affected sentiment. It's the same nature as how we saw yung Manila Water before na nag 5 pesos siya. But it recovered. And for SGP, or let's just talk about NGCP, kasi SGP, yun naman yung driver niya sa NGCP. I think, hindi mawawala ng NGCP. It could change ownership, which could, make the stock price more volatile. But I think si NGCP hindi yan mawawala. It's the sole transmission operator. If mag-change man ng ownership, it would just possibly be better for the share price. Basta yung point is, the goal here for SGP to rally is mawala na yung regulatory risk. Meaning, dapat di na siya pinag-uusapan in terms of government changing ownership, etc. Once mawala yun, it could just be like Manila Water na from 5 pesos, it hit, diba, nag-hit pa size 20, 21 pesos. That could be the scenario for SGP. So now my advice is to time this very well. I'm not saying na to add now because it could be worse from here. But I'm saying na NGCP still is a viable investment. It's just that in the next months, it could be worse in terms of regulatory risk, in terms of news. Worst case scenario, yung ownership would change. But again, that could just be a long-term positive. Basta dapat hindi na siya masyadong napapag-usapan. So next question is, what's the trend for USD? For USD kasi, diba USD peso right now, it's above 56 already. It's mainly because of the strength of the US dollar relative to the peso. Kasi yung peso, diba, nag-weaken yan pag, kunyari, naunang tayo mag-pause or if mauna naman tayo mag-cut ng rates, mag-weaken talaga yung peso, especially if yung US mo may prospect pa na mag-increase ng rates. So the trend here is right now, if it stays above 56, it could depreciate further, si peso. It must appreciate to below 56 muna. Kailangan mag-55 muna siya. Hopefully mag-54. Again, the assumption here is it's better yung peso to appreciate. So, but the trend right now, if it stays 56.50, pwede siya tumuloy. So, the 56 is a key level. Kasi before, 56 was a resistance. Right now, nag-breach siya, nasa 56, above 56 na siya. So, it must go below 56 first. Kailangan mag-55. Kailangan mag-appreciate yung peso from here. So, import season pa naman. So, relatively weaker yung peso talaga. So, relative weaker pa yung peso, tapos may prospect pa na mag-pause yung rates tayo, tapos mag-increase yung Fed. If mag-increase yung Fed, tapos tayo nag-pause, that si USD will just rally from here. So, I hope I answered the question. So, for Monday, what's your fair value price? We're actually currently evaluating that. We did have a buy rating, but I'm not suggesting that you buy now. I understand na si Monday kasi si Monday was removed from MSCI. As a trader, that's an opportunity to take advantage. Usually mga share price ng mga stocks that gets removed from the MSCI rebounds from Monday, perhaps baka mag 9 pesos. And alam ko nasa around 9 pesos siya before it got removed sa MSCI. So it could rebound to until 9 pesos. But the fact is, why am I telling you to not aggressively buy Mondays? Because there's still fundamentals na issue. Like yung corn, yung na meat free alternative business was disappointed a lot of investors in terms of its earnings performance. Right? So for Monday, you could trade it. Tomorrow, magre-rebound yan, perhaps. But will you outperform in terms of investment, long-term investment, 3 to 5 years down the road? That's the question. And we think you could earn a lot more from other names. So that's how we look at it. Okay, so the question here is, what smart investing strategies can FMS share? How do we invest at this time of the COVID-19 pandemic? How do we mitigate loss and maximize gains? So right now kasi we have to look at it at a general perspective muna. General perspective natin is there could be an economic slowdown. And keep in mind guys na yung pagtaas ng interest rates has a lag, has an effect to the economy, but has a lag. So yung initial outlook namin, di ba? Kaya 6-7 lang yung year-end namin because the higher interest rates could affect the economy in the second half. So that could affect earnings growth, right? So the question here is, how do we mitigate loss and maximize gains? That's why we were right now we're pushing for REITs. Kasi yes, baka mag-slow down yung economy. Cyclical rin naman yung mga office, etc. But we're not recommending all these. We're recommending only the ones that has a better than industry occupancy rates, likes of MREIT, RCR. Tapos we put their C-REIT because of its unique business model. Diba? Yung business model niyan, mention long-term contracts and yung nature of its business is energy is a need. Solar. Diba? So future-proof, it's a need right now kasi may energy supply crunch yung country natin. So that's the thesis. So that's how you mitigate loss and maximize gains at the current environment. So next question is, how about the banking sector, especially may news of upcoming RR cut? Good analysis. You're right. And for banking sector, of course, right now, hindi lang siya topic namin, but it's a good investment. That's why for the likes of BDO, good to hold. BPI, pwede nyo siya i-buy, especially at least 10% upside as compared to our target price of 123, right? Yeah, that's right. Good banking sector is also good to have exposure. It's just that, for example, if may 100 pesos ka, tapos assuming REITs and banking sector lang yung bibilin mo, right now, 70 REITs, 30 banks, parang ganun. Okay, so good. The bottom line is it's still good to have exposure in the banks. Were there specific Philippine stocks removed from this May's MSCI rebalancing? Yes. So it was Monday. Monday got removed. So it got removed. It was announced in the middle of May and it's effective in the close of market today. So effective na siya as we speak. So wala na siya sa MSCI. So pero yun lang, siya lang. So what's our target price for C-REITs? Again, let's talk about C-REIT. Yeah, C-REIT is 2.54. So as mentioned, here's our thesis for C-REIT, no? Na yung unique business model niya has a large headroom for growth. Tapos, keep in mind, yung target price namin implies a dividend yield of at least 7%. Okay? So, it's higher than some fixed income. Tapos besides dividend yield, meron pa yung share price appreciation. Right? So, C-REIT is, I believe, trading at around 2.3 right now, if I'm not mistaken. May upside ka pa. So that's for C-REIT. Good question. Yes, Monday was removed from the MSCI. Will this mean that Monday will be removed from the PSA index as well? Not necessarily. MSCI and PSI has a different metrics rin naman. Si PSI every Feb and August yung review niya. Si MSCI Feb, May, August, December, November. Okay. But for example, I think that the argument here kasi is sa PSCI, right now si Monday pasok pa siya actually. Based on our computation, early this month of May. But our argument kasi is just to bring up yung PSA index is once MPI gets delisted, sino yung papasok? Our expectation is si Bloomberg. So just to share lang din. Good. Okay, this is a good question. Is this the best time now to buy stocks and do cost averaging? Because si client still has a lot of stocks that were expensive when he or she bought before pandemic. So, the problem mo, mataas yung average cost mo. But assumption is, we're hoping you're holding quality names. You should be holding quality names. Kasi kung yung mga hawak mo, hindi quality names, you sell first and shift to quality names. Kasi ang hirap, yung mindset kasi, okay, lost ka na ng 50%. Hirap na ibenta kasi pag nag-sell ka, legit loss na siya. But the point is, ano ba yung goal mo? Your goal mo is to recover your loss. And if you keep holding on the stock na hindi naman malino yung growth prospect, hindi mo marirecoup yung 50% mo agad. Just shift to a better name na has a higher chance of recouping your 50% loss. Parang ganun. Right? So that's the first assumption. So let's assume na you're holding quality names. Is it the best time to now buy stocks? I think it's mga specific to, it must be specific muna to the sectors that could outperform at this kind of economic environment. That's why we're looking at consumer staples, REITs, and perhaps banks, and those names na mataas exposure sa malls. So perhaps those are the names na you could cost average. And then for the others, worst case, wait for lower price. So yeah. There are other questions here. MSCI, yes. Morgan Stanley Capital International. And si MSCI Emerging Market Index, that's where we're proud of, si Philippines. Okay, next question is, how about ACEN? Or thoughts about AC Energy? I'm just actually one catalyst na I'm looking at, one overhang rather, is the property dividends. I think after it announces or once matapos yung property dividends, there's room for ACEN to rally. Medyo na kasi siya overhang siya kasi diba property dividends, share dividends drag down share price, especially if mataas yield, right? So for ACEN, the prospect is there, growth prospect is there. Ang dami ng plans na that are coming online. So the catalyst is already existing. It's growing as we speak. I think lang yung property dividends must be addressed first. It's an overhang. So yeah. Okay, so last question. How about DMC? What are your thoughts since its price has recently been in a downtrend? Well, we have to dissect kasi si DMC is holding company, right? And bulk of its earnings comes from Semirara. Bulk, like more than 50-60% of its earnings recently comes from Semirara. So investors assume na if Semirara goes down around 2%, CDMC will go down by around 1.5%. Parang ganun, logically, right? So I think to answer your question, why is Semirara pulling back? Because coal prices have pulled back as well. So there's this expectation also na yung Semirara right now, is yung expectation kasi sa coal price is huge pullback after a couple of years of rallying, especially post Ukraine Russia, diba? So that's why DMC has also been dragged down. And for DMC, I believe yung residential is also underperforming, which is a lot of investors. So kasi a lot of real estate companies, Ayala, SM Prime, have recovered na eh. Tapos si DMC underperform. So perhaps those are reasons na di mo na nila hawak si DMC. So, yeah. Sige. So, okay. Last question. Sige, pagbigyan ko. Last question. 2 sets of questions. Sige, last 2 set of questions. So first is, how about GMA7? For GMA7, kasi it's pulling back. When nagsimula yan after the dividends was lower than expected. If you take a look at sa Edge dividends, the dividend it gave this year is lower than last year. Well, yung earnings was a bit lower rin naman in 2022 as compared to 2021. That's why medyo na-drag down rin yung share price, and we're seeing a lot of partnerships na ng ABS-CBN5. So, kumbaga yung thesis before ni GMA7 na, yeah, it's a leader though. It's still a market leader sa free-to-air space. But the point is, It's not, hindi na siya parang it seems like premium as compared to it was before na it seems like monopolize na yung free-to-air space, right? So that's for GMA7. But I think it's still a good investment, but if you have a high average price, be more patient about it na baka matagal bago mag-break even. But if you're an investor right now, if you want special dividends, consistent naman nagbibigay si GMA7. So yeah. And then lastly, SEC approval on shortlisting. Will this improve liquidity? Definitely. So we're hoping lang may progress, or according to SEC chair, baka this year daw ma-push na. And I believe the initial the details on those is mauna muna yung PSCI names for short selling. Kasi syempre pag meron na dun mga second tier names agad, baka bentahan agad. Which is of course that's the purpose yun naman. Yung purpose kasi ng short selling guys is for the stock to find right value. For example, si Tesla sa States, tingin nyo sobrang expensive na. That's the purpose of short selling na, okay, sobrang expensive na niya, tingin namin ito yung fair value. So you sell, earn, buy the stock going down. So dito, I think kailangan mo ng education. It seems like easier lang siya kasi opposite lang siya ng going long or buying, but there has to be education on the impact of short selling. That's why they're opting to push for index names na short selling muna. But to answer your question, yes, this will improve liquidity, definitely. All right. So guys, thank you for all of your questions, and hoping that you guys attend our next webinars and listen to our other podcast episodes. So again, thank you. This has been Roy Seguilar, Department Head for Retail Research, and as always, in First Metro Securities, it's #YourFutureFirst. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks for listening to First Metro Securities Philippine Stock Market Weekly podcast. Don't forget to follow us to get first dibs on our new episodes. For more up-to-date market news and info, exclusive content, and the opportunity to connect with your fellow Filipino investors and traders, join facebook.com/groups/FirstMetroSec and be part of the First MetroSec family.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.